Okay. I just wanted to riff on something here. I was thinking about the session that I just had with Booster. That was the last thing I uploaded. And we had talked briefly about this idea of if something is really hard and you're kind of fighting against it, there's this, you're in a conundrum where you don't necessarily know if it's hard because it's just a hard thing and you should continue giving it that high level of effort, or if it's hard because the way you're doing it isn't a good way. And I think that's kind of a constant struggle. At least it is with me, where I have a just like a baseline feeling that things shouldn't be too hard. Like a little bit hard is okay, but if it's like really hard, then maybe that's a sign that I'm pushing against something that maybe I should pivot and do things a different way so that so that I find a better way of doing it. Now, the example that comes to my mind, because it's part of my own experience, has to do with food, diet and nutrition, where in a way something like nutrition is just ridiculously complex. If you start looking into it, you're like, oh my God, how does anybody come to any sort of reasonable conclusion about this stuff? There's so much conflicting information, and it just seems like, how could somebody really understand this and then make good choices that that work out for them without just killing themselves or becoming, PhDs in physiology or nutrition or something? And then I happened upon a way of thinking about food and a way of eating that was so just stupidly simple, and it rendered the whole problem just moot. It was like, oh, that's not a problem anymore. It's not complicated. It's not hard, and it's sort of like, hey, cool, done. I don't have to worry about it anymore. By the way, that's the carnivore diet. And it changed how I looked at the whole picture. And so that's an example of a situation where I changed what I was doing, and the problem I was up against kind of just poof, it went away. And I wonder about the other areas in my life where I'm experiencing a lot of pushback, like I'm just getting nowhere for my effort. And so then I got to ask myself, hey, is there an easy way here that I'm missing? Do I need to go back? Do I need to go back to the drawing board and reevaluate this, or get some new perspectives? Like I've worn out the common wisdom on the topic, and now I need a fresh start on this thing to get something to stick. And I think you never really know if something is hard, because that's the way it is, and you have to deal with the difficulty of it and accept it, or if it's hard because you're doing a dumb thing. And that's so relevant for parenting, where it's so easy to bang your head against something just over and over, like you think it's supposed to work a certain way, and so you just keep hammering it and hammering it. And I think it's worth looking at that and be like, is this really does this have to be hard? Like, did God say this has to be hard? Or are there examples of people doing it in ways where the hurdles just kind of seem to disappear, or at least get smaller? And one thing I see over and over is that in traditional and even like hunter-gatherer communities, the children kind of do the work of raising themselves. and that's not entirely accurate to say it that way, but it's parenting is just conceptualized very differently in something like a tribe that is still doing some sort of subsistence farming or hunting and gathering, where the children are respected as autonomous human beings, and they trust the children's innate ability to learn and to be pro-social, to pick up the skills and the habits and the customs necessary to operate in the culture that they are growing up in. And by the way, I'm realizing I'm really low in the frame, and I don't like that. So I'm just going to zoom in a little more. And so I like thinking about those examples because, well, I guess because I like the idea that children are these natural learning machines, and that their software is designed to pick up what is necessary from their environment in order to be maximally helpful to their community, to fit in and to do the jobs necessary. And that it's not really the job of a parent to grab onto information and shove it into the brains of their children. Like that's not quite it. And the children end up pushing back if you push too hard. So that's something that I like thinking about. And it's something that I come back to that helps me when I might be feeling a lot of resistance in a particular area of my parenting where, I have an idea in my head of what I want to have happen or a result that I expect from a situation. And I just kind of bring myself back and be like, okay, this kid is designed to pick up what they need. And if I'm pushing too much, then I'll turn them off to me and to whatever wisdom I do have. And so I can render myself, at best neutral and at worst, I'm not even sure what the right word is here, but I don't want to turn myself into the bad guy because I pushed too much. And I like the idea of respecting a child's innate instinct to learn. And I think they have a natural ability to learn. And so, by the way, if this sounds interesting to you, I highly recommend the book, I believe by, I hope I don't get this wrong, Peter Wolf, I think, but it's called Free to Learn. And it's about children and their natural instinct to learn, and how that natural drive to learn things can be thwarted by adults setting kind of arbitrary standards and trying to force children into a particular mold that will train them out of their natural mode of learning and into a mode of trying to just please these adults around them, which it kind of shifts the emphasis away from intrinsic motivation into an extrinsic motivation, where you're just learning something in order to satisfy this kind of arbitrary bar that's been set for you, instead of learning out of a natural desire to figure out how the world works and to figure out how to be the most helpful. Okay, that was my random thought for the day. So thanks, and I'll see you in the next one. And wherever my record button is. Hold on, I'll figure this camera thing out eventually. And done.